We have a pretty big development to talk about here in this video. This will be a quick video though, because we're going through a bit of a heat wave right now, and I'm probably only going to be able to last for a few minutes here with the heat in this room. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it because this is a pretty significant development from ArkSama over on Blue Sky. Blue Sky seems to be where a lot of people are going because of the issues with Twitter recently taking down a lot of PlayStation hacking channels. They have been targeted by Twitter recently, including my own channel. So a lot of people are moving over to Blue Sky to keep things going. So what he says here is that the first native PHU A53 Kraken plus APR game has finally launched. It's Evergate, my test game. A giant step has been taken, but there's still a lot of work to do. However, the proof of concept has been verified. And further down he says, of course this is native, no emulator or anything else. The game loads automatically using the A53 processor. So this would effectively be something similar to fake packages, because it will not exactly be like fake packages, but it's effectively loading your PlayStation 5 game dumps in a similar way to the way that retail games are loaded using the A53 coprocessor, which normally we've not been able to use. So previously we have to use workarounds and load the games in a more unconventional way, which creates a lot of problems, which is why we end up having issues where games don't load from the internal storage and we have to load them from external storage for certain games. And then certain fixes that need to be applied to make games working, like the APR emulator fix, and other fixes that we have to use to make the games work. And then we have to use like separate compression, like the PFS compression, if you want to compress games to make them smaller. And then that can make games take longer to load. And then games just generally take longer to load than their retail counterparts because of the fact that we're loading them in this unconventional way. So the A53 processor is talked about a little bit in the Road to PS5 video from Mark Cerny, which basically goes over the development of the PlayStation 5 itself before the PS5 was ever released. I'll leave a link to that part down in the video description if you want to learn more. But basically it seems to be responsible for the Kraken decompression. So PS5 games are compressed using this Kraken compression algorithm, and then the A53 coprocessor decompresses them at launch. So that means we can utilize that compression so we can have games in a compressed form without any of the downsides that we have with the current compression methods that we have to use on like image files like the PFS compression. So we can basically get smaller games and have them load faster and have less issues without having all of these different fixes that we have to apply to them, and have them work directly from the internal storage, just like you would have with retail games. Have them load significantly faster. They may get slightly better performance in game also. So this could really be a massive improvement for running your PlayStation 5 games going forward. The developer also released a screenshot showing a bunch of games that are compressed in this format, so you can get an idea of the size savings that you get with this compression. So for instance, Spider-Man 2 here is about 113 gigabytes once it's compressed, compared to the original uncompressed version being around 255 gigabytes. So we're talking about more than a 50% size savings, at least with that particular game. We do have this Reddit article that breaks it down here by Mati Zarup, which basically says this is effectively the equivalent of a package file, so it's huge news. Instead of relying on formats like open folders, exFAT images, PFS compression, it uses the PS5's own A53 processor to load and run the files. That means it avoids performance penalties associated with those formats, while also taking up less space than a typical open folder install. And at the moment, it's still proof of concept, so it needs to optimize the charging via the A53 at the APR level, but it does work. So there isn't a tool available to convert games into the format yet. Hopefully that changes in the future. And as of now, these are in .phu format, which is not supported with current payloads. So we'll have to wait for a payload to support it. So as said, it is still proof of concept. So we need a payload that's able to load them and tools to convert your game dumps into this format to be able to load them with the A53 coprocessor. So we have some bullet points here on why this is a big deal, which is basically what I've said already, that we have native loading of PS5 hardware, so it's much faster than current methods. It doesn't have to fiddle with the APR emulator, no open folders, no image file versions or compression overhead, smaller game dumps because of the Kraken compression, and the format works as an independent file that does not need to be installed and can be used on internal SSDs, and works with Unity titles, which is something we have had problems with the current formats loading Unity games, so this will resolve those issues too. And it does also mention that backports will still be needed, and that's not really surprising. Even PlayStation 4 games that use fake packages still require backport patches to allow them to run on older firmwares, so that's not likely to change there either. Although it's still technically proof of concept, it looks like it's gone a little bit beyond that at this point, as we have a lot of these games showcased being compressed into this format. We also have the Evergate game, we have footage of it being loaded using this particular method via the A53 processor, and also there's some footage, some older footage of GTA 5 being loaded as well. So we have a couple of games that are being loaded using this method. We have the compressed versions, so it is looking very promising. But this is far closer than anything we've had in the past, where we've been teased about PlayStation 5 fake packages potentially coming, and then they never materialize. Whereas this is something that is tangible and is being worked on, and we actually have a proof of concept showing the game running using this particular method. So something a lot more tangible than anything we've had so far in the past. Although, speaking of that, we have actually had one thing since this was announced. We had Zeko, who basically posted on Twitter, "Good gifts come in small packages, a parting gift for the PlayStation 5 scene," and it is a Mediafire link to a A53.elf file. And he says here it's just a file with dwarf debugging symbols, so nothing extraordinary for the end user, but an excellent weapon in the hands of the right developers. So he basically mentions that it could certainly contribute to getting PS5 fake packages going as well. So something for developers to take a look at that could also aid in the development of fake packages for the PS5. So just wanted to mention that here in this video. If you want to see how you can run PlayStation 5 game backups currently using the current methods, then I did make a full tutorial pretty recently as part of my beginner's guide series that shows you how to get PlayStation 5 game backups running on the PS5. I'll leave that video linked down below. So anyway, that's going to do it here for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful as always, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.